The death of Mikhail Gorbachev has seen the former Soviet Union further recede into history. The final leader of the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, Gorbachev oversaw the end of the Cold War, an ideological conflict with the USA and Western world that lasted from the end of World War II until the late 1980s. On January 1, 1991, the Soviet Union was the largest country in the world, covering some 8,650,000 square miles, nearly one-sixth of Earth's land surface. Its population numbered more than 290 million, and 100 distinct nationalities lived within its borders. It also boasted an arsenal of tens of thousands of nuclear weapons. Within a year, the Soviet Union had ceased to exist. While it is, for all practical purposes, impossible to pinpoint a single cause for an event as complex and far-reaching as the dissolution of a global superpower, a number of internal and external factors were certainly at play in the collapse of the USSR. By the 1980s, the USSR's economy was suffering, and living standards were falling due in part to pressure on the public purse caused by massive military spending. Mikhail Gorbachev came to power in 1985, seeing change was needed, decided to open up the country politically to an extent not seen since the start of Stalin's dictatorship. One consequence of this policy was that it allowed the USSR's faltering military campaign in Afghanistan between 1979 and 1989 to be made increasingly public. This conflict, which claimed the lives of 14,500 Soviet troops, was one of the factors in the USSR's downfall. Gorbachev also relaxed the state's grip on the economy in the hope that private innovation would reinvigorate economic growth. This policy allowed individuals and cooperatives to own their own businesses for the first time since the 1920s and encouraged foreign investment in the USSR. On the global stage, Gorbachev also pursued friendlier relations with the West, and drew Russia back from the Cold War by introducing a policy of non-intervention. With the threat of Soviet military power withdrawn, revolutions against USSR's puppet governments started occurring across Europe. Independence movements then began to spring up in the USSR itself, with Estonia, Lithuania and Latvia all announcing they were forming their own states separate from Moscow. In 1991, Russia elected its first democratic leader, Boris Yeltsin. After Yeltsin signed agreements with Belarus and Ukraine that essentially allowed them to split off from the Soviet Union, the rest of the USSR states followed the suit.